The lives of Rhaenyra Targaryen and Alicent Hightower, key figures in the Targaryen civil war known as the Dance of the Dragons, present a study in contrasts. Their approaches to life, duty, and societal norms in Westeros highlight the differences that fuel their rivalry and ultimately shape the fate of the realm. And so we must ask the question, for judging Rhaenyra so harshly for her youthful and then adult indiscretions and deceits, is Alicent Hightower a hypocrite for bending the rules to her own favor later on in the Game of Thrones? Alicent Hightower is often portrayed as the epitome of duty and propriety. Raised in the Red Keep as the daughter of Otto Hightower, the Hand of the King, Alicent's life is marked by her adherence to societal expectations and her roles as a loyal daughter, wife, and mother. Her marriage to King Viserys Targaryen further entrenches her in the politics of the realm, where she strives to uphold the values of loyalty, duty, and sacrifice. Alicent's actions are driven by a sense of responsibility to her family and her position, often placing her personal desires second to her obligations. Alicent's dedication to her duties is evident in her strict upbringing of her children and her insistence on maintaining the honor and integrity of her house. She is deeply committed to ensuring her children's place in the line of succession and is willing to make significant sacrifices to protect their future, even if it means engaging in political machinations and harsh judgments against those who deviate from societal norms, as seen in her dealing with Larys Strong. In stark contrast, Rhaenyra Targaryen embodies the rebellious spirit often associated with the privilege of her royal status. As the firstborn child of King Viserys I and the named heir to the Iron Throne, Rhaenyra enjoys a level of freedom and influence that few women in Westeros can claim. However, this privilege often leads her to flaunt the rules and expectations imposed by society. Rhaenyra's relationship with Criston Cole is a significant example of her disregard for societal norms. Losing her chastity to Criston Cole, a member of the Kingsguard sworn to celibacy, Rhaenyra not only breaches the moral expectations of her position, but also places Cole in a compromising situation that ultimately leads to his disillusionment and betrayal. Her affair with Harwin Strong, known as Breakbones, further underscores her defiance of societal conventions as she fathers 3 children with him, whose illegitimacy is an open secret at court. Rhaenyra's actions are often seen as self-indulgent and reckless, driven by her belief in her entitlement and destiny as the future queen. Her willingness to pursue her desires despite the potential consequences starkly contrasts with Alicent's more measured and duty-bound approach. The differences between Rhaenyra and Alicent's approaches to life and duty are not merely personal, but reflect broader societal tensions in Westeros. Alicent's adherence to duty and tradition positions her as a stabilizing force, seeking to maintain order and uphold the values of the ruling class. Rhaenyra's actions, on the other hand, challenge these norms, embodying the potential for change and disruption of the social order in Westeros. Their divergent paths set the stage for the Dance of the Dragons, a conflict that is as much about the clash of ideals as it is about the struggle for power. Alicent's view of Rhaenyra as lacking dedication and sacrifice, particularly after the incident with Aemon's Eye, highlights the deep-seated resentments and differing values that drive the two women apart. Ultimately, the lives of Rhaenyra and Alicent illustrate the complexities of duty, power, and personal ambition in the turbulent world of Westeros, shaping the course of history in ways that continue to resonate throughout the Targaryen legacy. The TV show, House of the Dragon, and the source material, Fire and Blood, by George R.R. Martin, both highlight Alicent Hightower's profound worry for her children, particularly regarding their place in the succession and the dangers they face as rival claimants to Rhaenyra. Alicent's protective instincts towards her children are evident throughout the series. She is acutely aware of the precarious position her children occupy. As the mother of Aegon II, who has been placed on the throne following King Viserys' death, Alicent understands that their claim is a threat to Rhaenyra, who was named heir by Viserys. This knowledge fuels her fears and drives her actions to safeguard their lives and positions, even opening up to the counsel of Larys Strong, a man who makes her feel dirty just associating with, and yet desperate for his network of informants at the same time. The incident where Aemon loses his eye significantly impacts Alicent's perspective. This traumatic event intensifies her resentment towards Rhaenyra and her children, whom she views as dangerous threats. Alicent's reaction, demanding an eye for an eye, demonstrates her desperation to protect her own children, even to the point of seeking brutal retribution. Alicent's involvement in political scheming, including her later affair with Criston Cole, underscores her willingness to use any means necessary to secure her children's future. Her actions reflect a deep-seated fear that if Rhaenyra ascends the throne, her children will be seen as illegitimate threats to the crown and could be eliminated. Following King Viserys' death, Alicent's anxiety escalates. The show depicts her relentless efforts to solidify her son Aegon's claim to the throne after she misunderstands Viserys' last request on his deathbed, recognizing that the political landscape is fraught with danger for any rival claimants. Her affair with Criston Cole, although hypocritical given her earlier stance on Rhaenyra's indiscretions, highlights her desperation and vulnerability as she navigates the treacherous political waters to ensure her children's safety and power. But in the show, she admits to Rhaenys that her role in matters is to guide her headstrong children to wiser counsel for the good of all, showing that she does have the good of the realm in mind and not just for her own house or children. This in itself is a heroism of sorts, in her willingness to be a vehicle of intervention so that the whole realm be not stirred to war. It is noble sentiment that even fierce Rhaenys must take note of. Her affair with himself is a bit itself to unravel, as she is the Dowager Queen when Season 2 starts, and free to associate with whom she wishes within the bounds of law. But Criston Cole is a member of the Kingsguard, beholden to a vow of chastity, a vow that, while often flaunted by members of the Kingsguard over the centuries, is a vow nonetheless. So her hypocrisy does not lie in the area of infidelity, but rather in the areas of duty and honor that she raged at Rhaenyra for flouting after her sons cut out Aemon's eye. Perhaps she tells herself it is not the case, since it was Rhaenyra who despoiled Criston Cole's vow in the first place, and she is just keeping it secret to protect a noble man's life that Rhaenyra left shattered in her rise to power. Perhaps she views it as payment, as being married to an older man out of duty, a man she loved loyally and faithfully for many years, bearing him many children despite the repulsion she must have felt as he withered and died before her very eyes in the grip of some mysterious illness. But who can know her rationalizations on this point? But to all eyes watching, she is apparently a mother at wit's end, having dealt with expectations of a loving but demanding father from her earliest youth, the willful blindness of a feckless husband for years, watching as her best friend became a perceived threat to the lives of her children, children who range in attitude from the drunken and lecherous to the loyal but raged, filled to the not quite all there demeanor of a Targaryen dreamer, trying to manage all this with some measure of power as queen, but not really the level of power she needs, and having to turn to the shadiest of allies to try to shape affairs to her favor. It all must be so very stressful and wearying, and yet she persists, trying to do her best to prevent a dragon war. Alicent's story is one of a mother's fierce determination to protect her children in a world where power struggles can lead to deadly consequences. Her actions, driven by fear and love, add layers to her character, the layers George R. Martin likes to show when displaying the human heart at war with itself, ultimately portraying her as both a dutiful woman and a pragmatic survivor in the dangerous Game of Thrones. A hero and a bit of a hypocrite,